vacation franchise in general is iconic, including in my own family. Whenever we go on a vacation, we refer to ourselves as the Griswolds.
Okay.
Just because of our misadventures and my penchant for hitting on any woman I see at any time if my wife is not in vicinity.
Hello, and welcome to Is This Bad? A show where we rewatch movies that we did not love and with some distance test our priors to decide once and for all, is this bad? I'm joined by my bearded Ebert, Jason Doyle.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, JD. Thanks for coming and spreading some of that trademark holiday cheer you're famous for. And producing the show, don't worry, a little tree water ain't gonna hurt her, Rachel Doyle. That's okay.
You're welcome,
reaction,
podcast listeners.
Well, it is Christmas, or Christmas is upon us. So today's movie is 1989's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. We're talking 70% critic score Rotten Tomatoes. We're talking an 86% audience score. I feel like you've either never seen this movie or you've seen this movie 10 to 50 times. Right? Doesn't it seem like kind of like a classic you would gather the family around the TV for around the Christmas season? Like, this is up there with the staples of Christmas,
Sure.
is it not?
Absolutely. I think that this is definitely in regular rotation around this time of year. Mm-hmm. I also think that the score, and sorry to get into this right away, but the Rotten Tomatoes score, I think, is a little stacked.
Oh, I thought you were going to start talking about the score of the film, and I was like, slow down, John Williams. I hope we need to get to that right off the top.
Can you imagine if John Williams wrote the score for this movie?
Oh, it'd be 100 times better. But what I'm saying is, a lot of the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, I don't know if you noticed this, are from 2023.
I
I did notice that.
So I think that it's part of their regular rotation, and they've just sort of brainwashed themselves into believing that this movie is better than it is. So it snuck through is what I'm saying. It snuck through our ironclad system of good movies that we didn't like, because I don't think this is a good movie, and I sorry to say it right off the bat.
Spoiler alert.
The bar is low for Christmas-specific movies, right? I mean, if you're going to pick a season, there are the most Christmas movies over every other holiday by orders of magnitude.
By a lot, yeah.
Unless there's a lot of movies about my birthday, but aside from that, it's Christmas where the big movie guns come out.
Right.
I want the big movie guns to start reviewing Hallmark Christmas movies, see what they think of those.
Oh, I mean, when you add those, for sure. I mean, there's probably thousands of them at this point. I mean, they make hundreds of those every year, don't they?
Well, there's 37 that came out this year alone. But that was my insane idea for a podcast that I tried to pitch to Rachel, and she even said no. It was like, we watch all of them, and we release a podcast for every single one of them.
And so you would do only Hallmark, or you only Lifetime
Hallmark
does them too? Netflix does them?
Yeah, just
so you're not watching Hot Frosty?
No.
We could be writing them after one season of watching them.
Oh,
it would
okay.
be so script.
That is definitely going to be the first genre that falls to artificial intelligence will be Christmas movies.
Are you sure it hasn't already?
Yeah, I don't know. It is a great question. Well, so like I've said, a Christmas classic, and also like I said, you've either never seen it or you've seen it many, many times. So JD, why don't you tell us about what your first time was like watching this movie that, again, you must have seen thousands of times at this point.
Well, I've seen it. I've seen it now once in its entirety.
Yes, that was the big lead up to that joke, is that you've never seen this movie until we did it for this podcast.
Just bits. Just bits.
Yeah, but not without trying. Like, I have sat down to watch it. Listen, my history with this movie goes back to the original Vacation, which was a very highly anticipated movie in my life. We talked about Star Wars last time we did this. Vacation was I remember seeing the trailer. I remember, being a kid. I was right in the target for this movie.
So you were 12.
12. I was 12, yeah, for the original. I remember studying the poster, like seeing it in the Toronto Star at a full color for some reason, with Chevy Chase with the tennis racket over his head. There's no tennis in that movie, but he had a tennis racket over his head. Like just the details, like those old school 70s and 80s hand painted gorgeous posters,
tableaus.
Exactly, a tableau. And I was sort of like, oh God, this is a real stinker. Like at the age of 12, I was like, these jokes are not landing. Chevy Chase is not the cool guy that I thought he was, so.
Is Vacation pre or post Fletch?
Oh, great question. I think it's post. I think it has to be post because I was a Fletch fan.
Huh.
So.
Stop trying to make Fletch happen, Jade.
Did you see the National Lampoon's Vacation?
I've seen Vacation. I don't even know if I've seen European Vacation.
I have
But
not.
same thing. Like I saw Vacation at a point when I was too old and everyone that I knew was like, oh, Vacation's one of your favorite comedies, right? And I was like, oh, I guess I better watch this. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I think I missed the boat on this one. And I also think I missed the boat on Christmas Vacation because I too had never seen it until you made me, At least I have the Jewish card here that, we didn't, my parents and I didn't. That being said, I did see Home Alone in theaters. But that's actually
well, yeah. I mean, I was going to say, like, that's what you do. You go to the movies on Christmas. And this was number one at the box office for 4 weeks. Did you know that?
Oh.
Yes, it beat, or was it second to, or did it beat Back to the Future Part 2 in its opening week? I can't remember, but we're talking Back to the Future Part 2 times here.
Wow.
Right? We're talking a different world. Yeah, so whatever. I never watched this movie. But I will stand up for it because I also, to give away the game, did not think this was a good movie. Okay. So if I was asked the question, is this bad? I'm sorry, I would have to say yes. I know I'm ruining many of your childhood's people that are listening. But I will defend this movie because I think if I'd seen it when I was young enough, when I was quote-unquote supposed to see it, I would have found it funny. There's enough slapstick and body humor, I guess, that that would have titillated me at the appropriate age. And then once you love a movie and it becomes part of tradition, and then you keep rewatching it, it loses its inherent original movie form, and it just becomes something completely different.
More
it becomes
forgiving.
Tradition. Exactly, it becomes ritual, and I think I would like this movie a lot more than I did seeing it at 43 years old for the first time. Rachel, where were you on this movie?
I, again, watched it in bits and pieces and never watched the full thing.
As it was meant to be seen.
As I will say, we could have played every time we've done one of these things. And I ask you, Rachel, what was your first experience seeing this? You give the exact same answer, whether it was Everything All at Once, Phantom Menace.
Well,
what other movies we've done? Joker. You're like, well, I've seen a part of it. Then I went outside. I did some gardening. I came back. I saw another scene. Then I fell asleep. Then I woke up. Then I started again the next day. But then I fell back asleep. It's the same answer every time.
It's very.
Can you name a movie you've seen beginning to front the first time you watched it?
Well, I think like when I go to the theater, when there's nowhere for me to go, I have to. Right. I mean, and normally when I do that, it's probably during the day because we watch movies during the day at the theater, so I don't fall asleep. But yes, low attention span and normally tired when I watch TV. But I watched I got through this twice, and then I watched the National Lampoon's Vacation, and I have to say, watching the Christmas Vacation for the first time, I'm like, oh, he's very endearing. He's very positive. He's trying to make this work. And then we get to the like creepy hitting on the girl scene. I'm like, oh, well, he's not as endearing. But by the end, I'm like, oh, he still wants to, get this family together. But anyway, then I go back and I watch the European Vacation. And I'm like,
oh, you went deep.
He's a creep.
Then I watched Eurotrip. Even though that's not part of it, it's still someone taking a trip to Europe. I thought maybe this would have some insights for me.
It gave me some insights that maybe he's not endearing. He's kind of a fucking psycho. But it made me understand why people would like it. Once you get familiar with the characters and you see them again, you're like, oh, okay, this is just another wacky adventure with this family. And I think you're more forgiving to you're not laughing your ass off the whole time? I don't know.
Okay, so to like this movie, you have to be held hostage by its characters and watch 3 movies multiple times in the span of 2 days. And then you're like,
Okay, he's all right. He's like your uncle.
It's the Patty Hearst guide of movie criticism. You just get brainwashed.
Well, it's like your uncle or your weird relatives that come over at Christmas. You're like, you're just used to them, so they've got to fucking stick around and you tolerate it.
That's right. But so, are you saying that because JD and I haven't seen these other ones recently? Is Chevy Chase as Clark Griswold at his most normal in Christmas Vacation? Like, you're saying he's more unhinged in the other two?
The first one, he's definitely more unhinged, but he's funnier in the Vacation, just straight up family Vacation. He's funnier there because he's crazier, like more dark.
Oh, that's true, though. Now I have a memory. Is in the first one, doesn't he hold up a Wally World Park employee at gunpoint?
Yeah.
This guy's fucking crazy, man.
It was a BB gun, but still.
You don't know that till the end.
Well, you didn't know that.
Till John Candy gets it in the ass. Anyway.
Whoa.
So a bit of background on this one. Did you know, because I did not know this, written by John Hughes, which I did know, but I didn't know that it was based on a short story that John Hughes had written for National Lampoon in 1980 called Christmas 59, which is why in the scene when Chevy Chase goes up to his attic and gets trapped in there, and he starts watching those old reel-to-reels. If you look back, and boy, does it merit a rewatch, he pulls out the reel-to-reel tape, and it says Christmas 59 on it. Isn't that nice?
That's a nice little callback.
Did he actually get stuck in the attic? Because he fucking fell through the ceiling. There's a giant hole. Couldn't he have just went through the hole?
No, because she pulls out the attic.
No,
but he falls through the
ceiling onto his son's bunk bed. His feet are standing on the bunk bed. And then he goes back up and starts dressing up because he's stuck in the attic. It's like, just fucking make the hole bigger and go out. What the hell are you doing? Sorry.
Okay. Well, we're already finding some holes, plot holes that are not big enough for him to jump through yet in this movie. Another thing I did not know is that John Hughes writes Christmas Vacation, and then at the same time, basically, he writes the script for Home Alone. He starts imagining, like, what would it be like if we left my 10-year-old home alone at Christmas? Like, what would he do? Mm-hmm. Now, the interesting thing is Christopher Columbus, at this point, is directing Christmas Vacation. And he had just discovered America, so he had a lot of free time on his hands.
This guy is prolific.
And apparently he shot some second unit stuff, but he left before starting the movie because of a personality clash with one Chevy Chase, who Columbus said treated him, and this is a quote, like dirt. So, personality clash with Chevy Chase. What was the clash? Christopher Columbus is normal and Chevy Chase is an asshole. I guess that's the clash.
I mean, in retrospect, after all the Community rumors and stories that came out of that production.
I don't think those are rumors anymore.
Well, no. Yeah. Anyway, the guy's a dick, apparently. So,
yes.
And Chris Columbus, actually a very good director. Home Alone is a much superior movie to this. I have to say.
Okay, so that's the kismet that I'm about to get to. Mm-hmm. After Christopher Columbus leaves, because Chevy Chase is a dick, John Hughes is like, you know what? I liked you for this one. It's a Christmas movie. Let me throw you a bone. And he tosses him the script for Home Alone. And Christopher Columbus is like, I love this. And then he uses his immense talent to make one of the most enduring Christmas films of all time.
Right.
Leaving this one to be directed by, I don't know who. I'm going to guess that he didn't. Did he do anything after?
He did.
Jeremish?
Ever
Did
heard
I write
of
that wrong?
The Avengers, Matt?
Stop it. What?
Come on.
What are you
Look
talking-
it up.
Chechnik?
Yep.
Oh, the old Avengers.
The old Avengers. It was a complete bomb.
The one with where they're sort of like where have their British brawlies and it's more
it's a remake of a British show called The Avengers, and it was terrible. And this guy came in and he had never directed a movie ever.
Just commercials.
Sexy commercials.
John Hughes was also a commercial. Not a director, but a copywriter. That's where he got his start.
There is nothing wrong with starting your career in commercials, and there's nothing wrong with being given I guess,
huge break.
Moderate budget.
Spike Jonze.
You know, it's a third in a trilogy. It's become a Christmas classic, but you know, this guy was like, I didn't know I had comedic chops. That's the quote from him. Well, you don't. I'm sorry, but you don't. I'm just speculating. I did pay $3 to to subscribe to Rolling Stone so I could read the oral history. It was 8 pages of not a lot of information there.
Good boy.
But
nice.
I'll pay you $1.50.
What was my point here? Yeah, please, thank you.
It's just venting.
But yeah, I mean, he was just like, hey, I was just given this, and from what I can tell, everybody is very nice about Chevy Chase, but I think that they hired a director that Chevy Chase could just walk all over and basically say, you know what, I'm not doing that, or I'm just tired of shooting this scene, so let's not even bother, and we'll fix it. You know, you just cut it together, because that's the only explanation I have for all these the problems I have with it. Like, it's just like plot hole, like the attic thing, like jokes that get set up but never get paid off. And anyways, I'm sure we'll get to it, but I think that's the problem with this movie. Because John Hughes, I think it's a decent script, to be honest.
It's not terrible. It's not terrible, but you're right. You can't, the comedy of this movie and the movie itself are inextricably linked, because it's basically one set piece after another.
Correct.
That's the whole movie. So before we get into the guts of it, some very quick housekeeping. If you want to support the show and get exclusive content, and, JD's in the whole $3, so we really need you to go to patreon.com/isthisgood. Now, if only one person signs up to the Patreon based on this, you've just made $2 profit.
That's amazing.
Off that $3 you spent. That's what I call a good investment.
Best Christmas ever.
$1, because you got to give me $1 of that.
That's true. That's true. That's fine.
And actually, now it's kind of fucked up that I could have had the whole $5, but really now we're splitting 2. Because there better be some goddamn nuggets from this oral history that I didn't get from reading the Wikipedia page. We'll see, because I got some nuggets, baby. Those are coming up.
Okay, great.
And you can send topics for future shows to isthisgoodpod@gmail.com, and subscribe on YouTube, where if you're watching this now, you're seeing how fucking goddamn good it looks. Rachel putting in scenes for the movie. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that, because she's like, well, I haven't done it yet, so you're putting a lot of pressure on me.
Give me details.
I'm just basing that off the last one we did, off the Phantom Menace.
You gotta watch them.
I'm sure she's
justify all my effort.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, of course, it's Drunk December, so when you're at a holiday party drinking nog out of your Wally World cup, talk about the pod. People will love it. It's good drunk conversation. And maybe you need to be drunk, quite frankly, to move the needle and speak full-throatedly about this podcast. Maybe our listeners are shy, JD, and they need to be a little sauced up.
We got to make it if you're going to be a part of the club, talk to us. Let's do this. Put the comments out there. It's fun hearing everybody's, after they watch it, and all their deep insight on how the movies affected them too. That's fun.
No, it's great. Go comment away. Be drunk for that too. You think I give a shit if there's a typo?
We don't care. We like it sloppy around here.
Oh, absolutely. And what's funny, when I go to YouTube and I see comments and I'm going to comment back, and I think of something in my head, and then it has those AI suggestions of what you could just click on and it will put it in the comments.
Yeah, sure. And
I was like, I should have just done that. In this scenario, they're better than what I'm saying, is what I'm saying. The beginning of this movie, already a bummer, I'm going to say. As I say, I'm going to defend this movie a little bit, but bummer right away, because ready to hear Lindsey Buckingham go Holiday Road. Right? It's not in this movie. It's in the first one. It's in the second one, but no Holiday Road. Were you as disappointed as me to not be hearing that, JD?
Yeah, 100%.
Because this is the golden age of a guy writing a song for the opening credits to a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Footloose from Footloose by Kenny Loggins. You've got I'm All Right from Caddyshack by Kenny Loggins. Mm-hmm. You got Meet Me Halfway from Over the Top by Kenny Loggins. Okay. And then you have Danger Zone from Top Gun, which is... it's also Kenny Loggins. So I guess it's just the golden age of Kenny Loggins writing songs for movies.
Not available.
Why did Kenny Loggins fucking write this song, man?
Well, you know who produced it? According to the oral history, Prince.
Could see that.
Yeah.
That's why he's a legend, baby.
Sure. Yeah.
And we don't get Holiday Road. And you know what else we don't get? Just an interesting thing about this movie. We don't get to see Christmas Day. This thing ends on Christmas Eve. That's great point. Doesn't deliver on this promise of a Christmas staycation, more like it.
Yeah, it was.
As someone that had never seen it, I kept waiting to be like, okay, like he's going to put the tree in the house and then something's going to break and then they're going to have to go, oh shit, we have to go on vacation now.
Well, everybody else went on vacation to his place.
Wait.
So
yeah, that's true.
So you were just waiting for them to leave?
Yeah, well, at a certain point I was like, Jill, I don't think they're leaving. I think Clark's so crazy. He just might be staying home for this one. But first scene, they got to go get the Christmas tree. We have a brief Fast and Furious interlude where they're underneath a logging truck.
Yeah. He's a chemical engineer, but he couldn't notice what was right beside him. Okay.
And we'll get to this. He's a good chemical engineer.
Yeah.
Like, he's succeeding at his job. He's not a buffoon.
No. He's
Now,
winning
it's
awards.
also weird at his job. He's a chemical engineer, but he just looks like he works in the marketing department or something. He just wears a suit, and he works in the regular, like, accounting executive area.
Yeah. He's not in the lab.
A beaker in sight.
No.
But opening salvos of the movie, JD, and the first big set piece is this giant tree that they bring back and then put into the house. Are you ROTFLing already?
No, I'm not.
No, man, I'm not.
I'm trying to figure out how the fuck they got that tree out of the frozen earth.
Did you bring a saw?
Yeah.
Well, he pulled it up with his bare hands.
Strong.
He's very strong.
Strong man.
Now, was this a tree farm or is it just a forest? Because if you notice, when he swerves off the road, he hits a sign that says trees with an arrow pointing, but then they cut to and they're walking and they're just in a forest.
Yeah,
so like, shouldn't the sign say forest?
Right. Or that's the gag, like, get your trees here, but then he just Clark Griswold's himself and just says, we're not doing that. We're going into the forest to chop down a majestic fir.
And it just happens to be that the forest he wants to go to is right next to the place that sells the pre-cut trees.
That's exactly right. I mean, I guess.
He does what he
I'm
wants.
assuming.
He does what he wants. Yeah. That's one thing that we know about Clark Griswold. I will say, though, that one of the things that I did have to give it up to the movie for is there was a lot of lines that I heard that I was like, oh, that's from this movie?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, we'll get to it, but when he talks to the attractive sales clerk at the department store, and he says, oh, it's a bit nipply out. Oh, I mean nippy out. Right. I've been hearing that my whole goddamn life. Did not know.
Your dad probably came up with that, though. I mean,
you think my dad and then gave that bit to John Hughes?
Yeah.
It is a bit dad jokey. I mean, that's the point, I suppose. Look, the Vacation franchise in general is iconic, including in my own family, my mom, my dad, us. Whenever we go on a vacation, we refer to ourselves as the Griswolds.
Okay.
Just because of our misadventures, and
there's always tits popping out around you.
Tits popping out, and my penchant for hitting on any woman I see at any time if my wife is not in vicinity. Yeah. But no, we do, and you know, again, it's an iconic franchise. So there you go. I mean, this is what again. We talk about this a lot on this particular thing that we do, the movie club, and this is one of the times where I just feel like I'm a crazy person, or I am missing a chip in my brain because I do not find any of this enjoyable from the jump, you know.
Well, as we go through the comedic set pieces, can you at least tell me when we get to it which one you thought was the best?
Okay, yeah.
It could be you could still hate it, but certainly one of them stuck out to you as better than the others.
Yeah, this whole first opening scene, it's very hard to tell what kind of movie we're in. You know what I mean? Because we have this outrageous slapsticky car chase thing.
But it's exactly the same as The Vacation.
I know, and it's a problem that I had with that as well. But this was even more goofy. I mean, you have the daughter has literally hypothermia, which is okay. I'm into it. Her eyes are literally frozen. Fine. He yanked a 25-foot tree out of the ground. You know, all of this stuff is very broad and very comedic, but it's also wants to have, you know, this heartwarming tone of the movie.
But it's not, because it's all about me, Clark.
Yeah.
Everybody else can go get fucked. I'm getting this tree, even though it's for
Rachel,
the family.
do you know what the last line, very last line of this movie is?
I did it.
I did it.
Oh, yes.
So,
right.
I'm just saying it's an astute observation.
And he shares a moment with the dog and says, I did it, right? the end.
I think so. It's like as he's like looking up at the sky at the end as everyone goes in. Looks great. A little full, a lot of sap. That's another line that I have heard people say about a Christmas tree. And I was like, that's where it's from. So it's a nice nod of recognition.
Can I tell you that I really liked that scene when they're lying in bed and he's got the sappy fingers and he's stuck to the magazine. Yeah. And he gets stuck in her hair. And the conversation, I mean, I really liked it. And I don't know whether it's because she's got a great rack or whether the whole thing just came together really well.
Beverly D'Angelo.
Oh my God.
Beverly, don't call me Robin D'Angelo. Anyway. Author of White Fragility. I get them confused, so that's why I need to point it out. Because,
did they both have a nice rack? Sorry.
Yes, I'm sure.
Oh my God, do not say that to Robin D'Angelo. She does HR seminars. Rachel, she's not gonna like that.
Oh God, everybody chill the fuck out. Anyway,
okay.
I like that scene. It felt really cute and really nice.
It was a nice little scene, and I do want to get into Clark and Ellen's relationship in a second here, but this is also where we meet the movie's apparent villains. I mean, obviously Clark's boss is a villain in this movie, but the other main villains that we see much more are this yuppie couple.
Where do you think you're gonna put a tree that big? Bend over and I'll show you.
Man, skip over him, generic yuppie looking man, and fucking Julia Louis-Dreyfus, completely wasted. Seinfeld had just come on the air in '89, so I don't know. This must have been filmed kind of around the same time as Seinfeld is starting.
Sure.
So she's not. I mean, I guess she's been on SNL for like a year or whatever. So she's probably not famous.
No.
But yeah, they're the villains, the yuppie couple that lives next door and has no holiday spirit. And you could tell me what you think about this. In my opinion, they are the villains because they don't have children.
Oh, they don't have a family. They're just all into themselves, and they've got all this nice gear, music gear, and they're dressed to the nines.
Yeah, hi-fi.
So
exactly.
nice.
And yet they live in the Chicago suburbs for some reason.
Like,
why do they live there?
Why are they there?
These are cool cats, man. They want to do a little Colombian marching powder and listen to Huey Lewis. Okay, what are they doing out there?
Exactly. It's so incredibly dumb. But anyways.
So Clark, we see him at his job. He has developed a non-nutritive cereal varnish to prevent cereal from getting soggy in milk. I mean, Jerry Seinfeld's watching this, getting a boner right now.
Exactly.
He's going, why didn't I think of that? Griswold. So this sets in what I think is, in a weird way, kind of the main plot to this movie is that it's Christmas time. Clark is expecting a Christmas bonus. As I said, he's developing great things for this company. He's a success at this company. The boss is like, I got to go to this conference. I need to talk about this technology you've developed. Write it up for me. And sure, the boss is a bit of a dick, but Clark needs the bonus because he's already made a down payment on a pool.
Right.
A pool that, if we're being honest, in the suburbs of Chicago, he can use for 3 months.
Max. Absolute max.
Like, have you ever wanted a pool?
Yeah, in my fantasies, yeah. But when I actually stop and think about it for a second, it's just like, hell no. Absolutely not.
The maintenance.
The dead animals that you have to pull out of the filter literally at once a week.
Hopefully not dead children.
Yeah, there's that.
Well, and it sometimes can hurt your property value, I've heard. Because some people might love your house, but they're like, but fucking a pool, now we got to pay all this extra money, and we have young kids.
Yeah,
and that's scary and dangerous.
Yep.
So Clark, you don't need the pool because the chick from the store is not really going to be naked in it.
Yeah. The first part of your fantasy is the actual reality. Is Cousin Eddie will never leave. And
Cousin Eddie doesn't know how to swim, as he says, and Clark is happy about that. He's going to drown.
Oh, that's why he never jumps in. Oh, interesting. Okay.
I told you, this movie warrants a rewatch.
Everything just snapped into focus for me.
There's depth here, guys.
And also, Clark, you're a guy who likes to go on vacation. That's your whole brand, man. Except for this one.
Why own when you can rent if you're just doing it for a couple weekends?
The thing is, he's already spent the money because he's been getting the bonus for years.
Yeah.
It's already a loss. Like, you haven't received it, but if you don't get it, it's a loss.
What are you saying?
I'm getting into the psychology of it. Like he's seriously, this is bad. Maybe the boss deserves this. They gave no one any notice. This is like part of the salary.
Like the boss is again, we got the neighbors, but the boss is definitely the villain. He's the Scrooge character for sure. I mean, there's no doubt.
With a little something special, it's a gift.
Put it over there with the others, Greaseball.
But even though Clark is good at his job and is succeeding, I found a very weird moment when the boss is walking out, and then he's like, "Okay, yes," and then as the sort of nameless office drones walk behind him, he does like a half-baked, like, "Oh, fuck you."
Why?
I didn't so get weird. That. Like, Clark, you're so close to the bonus, buddy. They're gonna tell when they round the corner. They're gonna be like, "That guy just told me to fuck off."
I guess it's hints of his psychopathic behavior from the first movie all of a sudden coming out. I was like, what the fuck? He seems so nice and normal. No.
He's got an edge to him. Yeah. He's got like a Michael Douglas falling down quality to him. Like if one more thing goes wrong, he's going to go crazy inside a Korean convenience store.
Yeah, and you know what? That part of the character I'm totally fine with because this is what we're waiting for. The whole tension of Clark losing it, right? Like it's all leading to him finally breaking, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, that scene though is just it's inexplicable and it feels like something, oh, I know, this will be hilarious. I'll just start calling them assholes as I get deeper in the crowd.
And then Happy Hanukkah.
It doesn't actually work. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he ends with
Hey, that's what I call representation.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that it was an insult to tell someone. Because Hanukkah is, and I can say this, clearly much worse than Christmas. I mean, it shouldn't be. I know they're on the same level because they usually fall around the same time. But a pale comparison.
Yes, but it's not.
So it's an insult to be told to celebrate Hanukkah.
Let me defend Hanukkah for a second. It's not meant to be a comparable holiday to Christmas, is it? I mean...
You get those 8 candles out of your mouth, okay?
How dare you?
Well, Hanukkah was literally raised up so that Jewish kids had something to do in the winter when all their Christian friends were celebrating Christmas. And I went to a pretty waspy school, so everyone I knew celebrated Christmas.
Yeah.
Everyone I know getting Super Nintendos.
Right.
Come over. You can ride Yoshi. I'm like, what is Yoshi? What are you talking about, man?
That sounds dirty.
I know. But, we had nothing, and Hanukkah does suck, so I accept that as an insult.
Okay.
But now we are at the department store to buy some gifts, and we have a classic scene here, JD. Maybe this one was your favorite. Clark, he's horny as hell.
Yeah.
And an attractive saleswoman is helping him, and he cannot speak straight. He means to say it's nippy, but he says it's nipply. There's a lot of double entendres.
Wouldn't be the Christmas shopping season if the stores were any less hotter than they are. Whew, it is warm in here.
And he even gets so lost in the sauce here that when she lifts up her entire skirt to show him her,
cheeks,
her hip flexor, really, but
her iliotibial band.
Okay.
Yeah, in a non-anatomical way, if there's side boob, this was side vagina.
Yeah.
Or side cheek.
Side cheek.
Or side cheek, yeah. I guess that makes more sense. And then his son comes over and he's embarrassed. He's like, oh.
Well, he's not at first. He's like, hey, what do you think of this? Yeah, right?
Because he's so lost in
gag,
it, Rachel.
Though. That's the gag. It's like, and then, oops, it's my son.
Oopsie.
Ridiculous.
Now, this woman, as I said, she'll later appear in a dream sequence when Clark is dreaming about the pool and dreaming about this woman sort of taking off her bikini top. Very Phoebe Cates.
Very, very much.
Fast Times.
Yeah.
Homage here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, this is maybe a dark thought, but to jump ahead, later there's a scene, he's looking out the window, and there's frosting on the window in a deep Chicago winter. He imagines the pool in this bright sunlight, he sees the woman, and then he gets, just at the moment when she's getting out of the pool, and he might catch a glimpse of breast. Cousin Eddie's daughter comes and interrupts him.
Yes.
Was I the only one who thought he was going to turn around and have a giant boner?
We were hoping. We were hoping.
Okay.
But Rachel and I looked at each other and was like, where's the boner?
Talking about anatomically correct. We know this guy's got a boner. Come on, give it to us.
You can't have a middle-aged man with a boner in the same scene with a 7-year-old girl. I mean, you can't do it.
Well, you usually also can't kill a pet in a movie, but hey.
That's a great point. A great point.
These people are not above it. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you is, how do you interpret Clark's randiness? Because, what was that?
Blooper.
That decoration just fell on me.
That's a great little blooper we got here. Fucking eat your heart out, Clark Griswold. Did you plan that, JD? What do you call that in your language? What do you call those things?
A pratfall?
Garland?
A garland, yeah. A garland.
In your language,
lights.
in your waspy language.
In your Christian language. What do you call that?
Garland. Yeah, a piece of garland just fell on me. Let's plow through, though. Let's keep moving.
Keep it moving. But
moving.
Also, let's see it over and over in GIF-like frequency.
Oh, I'm sure Rachel has already cut to the wide shot to see it fall on my shoulder.
Okay. YouTube.com/isthisgood. Okay, so normally in movies when a guy is hitting on other women, really any women he sees and fantasizing about them, we're supposed to think like there's something wrong with this marriage. It's sexless or they're arguing. But really, none of that is present here because it seems like him and Ellen have a lovely marriage. They're very supportive. She supports him even though he's a goddamn idiot and a psychopath.
And she's stunning and lovely and
got quite a rack, as my friend Rachel already pointed out.
You know what? I have
she
a way
does
with
take
words.
her top off in Vacation, the first one.
She does.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
You're going back and watching that, aren't you?
Now that's why you were excited to see it at 12.
Twice, I have to say.
And you see them both.
You see them both
one
time.
each time, or
No, you see them both at the same time, both times.
Pool scene.
Bro, that is so sick. But isn't this just? I guess I'm asking, like, was it just like a '80s thing where it was like, of course the dad's gonna be horny for other chicks. Doesn't mean he's not a good dad or he's not a good husband. It's just normal. Is that why, or am I reading this wrong here?
You just get used to it in those 80s movies, though, so it seems... Yeah, I mean, I guess.
It's definitely a trope, for sure, in the 80s and probably 70s of just like, oh, family man, sexually dead, you know, like, or...
But he's not.
Or is so repressed.
I think those people have sex.
Well, that's what I'm... with... you're talking about
Ellen.
him and Ellen. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
There's a lot of sap going on, not just on the magazine.
Well, if you watch the first Vacation, they definitely, the first night, they can't wait to fuck. They get a vibrating bed and that malfunctions, so they move it to the floor. And time is frozen in the Vacation universe because they have to swap out the kids every time. So this is recent. So they're fine. They're fine. Clark is just a sex addict, I guess you would call it in today's parlance.
When he is going around hitting on every woman in the bar in just the regular family Vacation, it is so fucking cringe.
That's actually one of my favorite scenes because it's Chevy Chase at his best, right? This scene we're talking about. We need to move on from this, but this scene of him being flustered because of a beautiful woman is actually what Chevy Chase. That's his bread and butter, right? Like,
right.
And in the original Vacation, it's all mime, like it's all silent. It's just him meandering his way through a bar, hitting on as many women as he can because him and Beverly D'Angelo has just had a fight. Which, as you do.
It's medicinal.
As you do. But it's just what he is. Like, he's a very physical comedian, I guess. And it's actually, I like this scene. So you wanted me to point out things that I liked. I did like this scene. Even though it's completely out of character and it makes you like Clark a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in the context of when it came out, you're not supposed to think any less of him. That's kind of my point. This movie is not like, now if a character did that, you'd be like, oh, they're telegraphing to me that this guy is duplicitous, or this guy is not as nice as he seems, or this guy is running around behind his wife. But in this, it means literally nothing except to make a joke.
I can't think of another movie where there's a character like this who's in a happy, healthy marriage, and then you literally 10 seconds later he's hitting on anything that moves.
So it's just
like
for
I
jokes,
I can't.
It's just for laughs.
I mean,
like
there's
Matt's saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. But it subverts the humor because you think he's such a family man. Like, literally, the scene before, he's talking about giving up his entire bonus to his friends. Like,
yeah, the guy that he's talked to at work literally goes, Clark, you're the last family man.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
Okay, well, if you're saying that, it's just normal for men to be all horny and stuff in these movies, you see in that same movie both granddads being horny little toads at bedtime while their wives are asleep. Well, I mean, is it necessary for one of them to be looking at a teen magazine while his wife's asleep on his shoulder?
Hold on.
And then the other one is staring up at a sexy poster above his bed.
Sorry.
Wow, you're bringing up a great question. Do the grandparents jerk off in their house in the bunk beds?
In the kids' beds.
Great question.
I mean, okay, I've never read Sassy magazine.
Sorry. This is just reminding me that Juliette Lewis, we didn't say that, she's the daughter, and Johnny Galecki is the son, who I didn't recognize at first.
Me neither.
When it is told to Juliette Lewis that she's going to have to sleep in her brother's bed because they need to make room for the grandparents, she says something like, "I shudder to think what he does in there." Ew. Baby, have you met your dad?
Or your granddad, apparently. There's sap all over that house.
Griswold's run hotter than a $2 pistol. Of course, that's what he's doing in his bed. And it's what Grandpa's doing in the bunk bed now, too. Yeah. Because we're the Griswolds. We're the horniest family in film.
The Giswolds, thank you.
The Giswolds.
They want you in that bed, Juliette Lewis, because they could have put the kids in the room with the bunk beds, right? Why not put the married couple into the bed together?
I did not understand that. I did not understand that at all. But also, she says you're sleeping in his bed, meaning that Juliette Lewis sleeps in the room alone with the bunk beds?
I'm so confused.
Wow, he just blew my mind again.
This movie merits a rewatch. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. There's a lot you missed the first time. Okay, at this point in the movie, the in-laws show up.
Folks, Merry Christmas.
Her parents show up, his parents show up. A huge wasted opportunity, I think, is that it is said that they hate each other, both sets of in-laws. So you're like, oh, baby, now we're going to add a lot of spice here. Why do they hate each other? What's their beef? What are they going to do to one-up each other? Are they vastly different? We basically get nothing from them in terms of their relationships.
They do seem vastly different, though. But yeah, there's no hot arguments, or they're just being shitty to Clark or being really nice to Clark.
Yeah. It's a waste opportunity. I mean, this is No Meet the Fockers. I mean, there you had difference.
Yeah.
De Niro, Hoffman, Titans.
I just thought of a movie from the 80s or maybe 90s that has a happily married guy who is tempted sexually, is flirting with disaster. Ben Stiller.
That was real life.
That was real life, yeah. He was like, it was a little more natural. But anyways, in the comments, hit me up with, it's called Flirting with Disaster. A fucking great movie, I have to say.
That's a great movie. That is
really,
a great
really
movie.
Good.
I'm sure you're just on the spot here. There's, I think, many movies, especially from the 80s and 90s, where it's just like a guy and he's in a happy marriage, but he
gotta fuck.
He still needs it, man. I guess a question I had for you specifically, JD, is the in-laws show up. Was smoking in the house cool? Because a lot of people are smoking in this house. And if I went to like someone's Christmas and everyone's lighting up in the house with a glass of Chardonnay in the other hand, I'd be like, excuse the pun, it's lit.
Yeah.
You know, like it seems like very cool, but you grew up in a smoking house.
I did.
Was it actually cool?
No,
Christmas?
it was pure hell as a non-smoker, but you would have loved it. You would have absolutely
I would have
loved
been 10.
Yeah. But, my parents smoked, I think in 1989, Christmas 1989, you would have walked in, there would have been the Chardonnay and Smokies. Not Smokies. What do you call them? Ciggies. They'd be out in full force. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't cool. I think it wouldn't have been fun then because everyone was doing it and it was bad. But you know what I mean? Like if you just went to someone's house and your grandmother was like, fuck it, I'm going to light up in the parlor room. Like, you'd be like, holy shit, this is cool. And in 2024, it's a cool thing to do, I think.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's just a fun little anachronism. All right, now Chevy's in the attic. He gets trapped in there, though there seems to be some dispute over how trapped he was. And like I said, he watches the Christmas 59 reel, and we see the true Christmas spirit, and Chevy's like, God, I gotta do this. I gotta do this for my family. But really, he's got to do it for himself. Did this bolster the movie by giving it any emotional weight for you, JD, or is this where you just boring scene, let's get on with it?
Oh, no, I wasn't a boring scene at all. I did find it charming and kind of sweet, him watching the old movies and stuff, but there were just gags within this scene that just didn't make sense. Rachel already pointed out.
I couldn't get out of my head like, what? This makes zero sense. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's also the fact that he's cold, so he dresses up in these weird old clothes of his mother's, I assume. He decides to sit on the door for some reason to watch these movies. Fine, that's fine. But then there should be a payoff where he's let out of the attic, he falls to the ground, and nobody sees him wearing this ridiculous outfit. It's like, Clark, what are you doing in the attic? We were looking all over for you and you're cross-dressing in the attic? Like, what's happening, Clark? You know, like there's a gag there. It's a wasted opportunity. But by then I'm already out of it because why wouldn't you just leave the attic? Anyways, you're
right. Because like, let's say her parents that supposedly don't like Clark. Mm-hmm. Let's say you just have one comment or scene where the mother's like, I don't trust Clark, you know,
yeah.
It's a little weird.
Yeah.
And then he falls out and he's dressed in a petticoat and all she has to do is round the corner and look at him and be like,
I knew it.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Laughs for days.
Yeah.
And then we get to, I think this is sort of the centerpiece. Like you were talking about, JD, these beautiful painted covers that they would do for these movies. And on the cover is Chevy Chase plugging in the lights. A big Mandela effect for me because I was waiting for him to get electrocuted, but he never
did
get electrocuted.
No.
But I guess I think that because it's on the poster.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
this is so important. It's in two scenes. He goes out. He's trying to set up the lights, he calls everyone out and it doesn't work. They go back in, completely other stuff happens, and then we get the second scene when he actually turns them on. My question about this is, we're supposed to believe, whoa, this is the craziest a house has ever looked at Christmas. It's pretty understated, is it not? It's just nice white lights. Like, I could walk down my street and see a much gaudier decorated Christmas house.
That's a lot of lights, man.
I guess at the time, people didn't go fucking nuts.
Yeah, you wouldn't see that on a house.
They hadn't invented inflatable Santa technology.
Those are not LEDs, man. Those are like incandescent light bulbs on your house. Yeah. I mean, it does literally drain the grid, right? They have to go to the nuclear power.
It kills power in all of Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. That scene was so overwrought and confusing, frankly. Like, you can see what the problem is, but I don't know. Beverly D'Angelo.
What is the problem? That a light switch in the garage is affecting?
It works that switch. It works that outlet.
It turns on the outlet. Anyways, it could have been done a little better, I think, but whatever.
Well, was this in the oral history that in that scene, Clark can't turn on the lights and he gets really frustrated and he punches the Santa and the reindeer, and apparently he actually broke his pinky while punching Santa Claus, and he kept going, and that's why he starts kicking the decorations halfway through because his pinky is broken.
I did not read that in the oral history, but
improv. Anybody else enjoy the improv at the end when Beverly D'Angelo, she's welcoming the wife of the boss into the house. You know, they're frozen because the cops have their guns at them.
Yes.
Puts her hands out, and then she brings it back, grabs Clark's penis for some reason. I assume it was improv. I don't think it was written in the script.
It was. That was in the oral history, pardon the pun. And and she was just said, yeah, I just grabbed his crotch to see if anybody would notice. I noticed. It was the only thing I noticed. I was like, what the, like, what is this meant to, like, anyways, it was a little improv. She said nobody noticed and it made it into the cut somehow. I don't know how that could have, I don't know how that could be true.
Because he directs commercials, not porn.
I guess.
Okay, now we get in this scene, the introduction of Cousin Eddie. I should have talked to someone that fucking loves this movie and seen it 100 times.
Same.
But I imagine that Cousin Eddie is a beloved comic character. To me, he is the turd in the punch bowl of this movie. He's 100%. So big that when it doesn't work, every time he gets bigger and bigger in his performance and the things he's saying, I feel more and more awkward. But I feel like people loved him. What was your reaction to Cousin Eddie?
The same. I mean, I love his outfits. I loved the dickie that he was wearing with the white turtleneck, the black dickie with the white sweater. But I had the same reaction. He did not make me laugh. The quote unquote improvised line of him saying bingo after the sledding scene.
Bingo.
Like, what does that mean?
I don't
They're crediting him for that?
Yeah, they're like, he just said it, and the director was like, that is hilarious, do it again. And so that's how they punctuate.
How does he
scene.
see when Clark crashes in the sledding scene?
I don't know how.
There's a sledding scene, just so we don't have to get to it later, where Clark is like, I'm going to spray this technology I invented. It keeps a pan 500 times greasier than oil or whatever he says. Then the sled catches on fire because of it? I don't understand that.
No, it's going so fast.
And it's going across the pavement, so maybe...
But it starts on fire right at the start, basically.
Yeah.
Which, I was like, did I miss? Like, did Cousin Eddie put a firecracker in there or something? Anyways, he goes like 3-4 miles in this saucer because he's going so fast. And then when he crashes... Cousin Eddie reacts to him crashing.
Did they start at Walmart and he somehow got all the way back to Walmart?
That's a great question.
What about the line when Cousin Eddie first sees them and they're outside of the RV and they're basically like, no, just keep the kids in the house because me and my love, we got to get it on in the RV. Get out the rubber sheets and the gerbils. I'm like, what the fuck?
Get out the rubber sheets. This man had to sell his house, okay? He can't afford rubber sheets
or gerbils.
And extra gerbils. If he can afford a gerbil, he's got to take good care of it. He can't replace it.
Just do normal ass play, Eddie. Normal ass play. It's cheaper.
Is this pre-Richard Gere rumor, do you think?
No, this has got to be peak. That's why it's there. Why else would you say gerbils?
Oh, it's a nod to the heads.
Yeah.
the bottom's more like it. Yeah. So I guess that means you won't be seeing 2003's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation 2, Cousin Eddie's Island Adventure. Yes, that's the full title.
That's a thing?
Stop, really?
It was a straight to video. I will read you the first paragraph of the synopsis here. The story begins with Cousin Eddie at his latest job, a nuclear facility where he works alongside a chimpanzee.
Jesus.
When the chimpanzee outperforms him in every test, the decision is made to fire Cousin Eddie. Upon finding out the news, the two being Cousin Eddie and a chimpanzee, get into an argument which results in the chimpanzee biting him. The nuclear company is convinced that he will sue. As a preemptive countermeasure, they offer him and his family a free vacation to an island in the South Pacific. While on holiday, they go on a boat ride. While Eddie attempts to catch a shark, they get lost and eventually shipwrecked on a deserted island. That's the inciting incident.
Okay, I'm in, actually.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation 2, Cousin Eddie's Island Adventure.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Sounds great.
So, yeah, we shan't be watching that. Let's get to the fried cat. I just said it. A cat sort of chewing on wires of the Christmas tree, and it explodes. Literally evaporates into a burnt form of a cat on a carpet. So here's another tidbit. That scene, the studio said basically, okay, take that out. Mm-hmm. Because they were about to do a test screening and they thought, well, this is going to offend people. And apparently the producer begged them to leave it in. And he was right, because the test audience rated that scene as their favorite scene in the movie. Now, in the John Hughes short story... Cat.
Where do I write that on the test screening thing?
They're all dog owners.
In the John Hughes short story, it mentions a dog getting electrocuted. Oh. I think it was smart to change it from a dog to a cat, because I think people would have complained if a dog died.
Yeah.
Poor cats, man.
Or what's the dog's name?
Snots.
Snots. If Snots died,
yeah,
people would be upset. But a cat, they're just a dime a dozen.
Even though he's a garbage-eating, leg-humping
The dog deserved to die. The cat didn't do anything wrong.
Okay, let's not get excited.
Well,
Settle.
The dog almost did die under the table, didn't he? Like he was choking on something.
Barfing.
Choking on
the garbage.
Oh, he's just yakking on a bone. He got it up. He's all right now.
Well, did you like the cat?
Hey, they went for it. I liked the cat. I liked the cat getting incinerated a lot more than the squirrel nonsense.
Did you like that the cat was wrapped up because of Aunt Bethany?
I didn't hate it. I mean,
she wraps
fine.
up her stuff to give away as presents.
Yeah, and cat is one of them, and the Jell-O mold is the other one. Dementia, hilarious, right?
No, this is before they were like, oh, yeah, she's just old. No, she has a disease. Either that line is in another movie when they say grace, she says, Grace has been dead for the... Mm-hmm. That's either in another movie or I don't know, because I've definitely heard that.
Oh, you think they're stealing jokes.
It's just a...
It's fucking George Burns joke. It's say goodnight, Gracie.
Yeah, okay.
Good night, Gracie, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well... Let's talk about the squirrel for a second, because the other big set piece, I think this is probably, well, aside from the SWAT team invading their home. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say the guy lights a stogie, sets the tree on fire. A very convenient fire where it just burns the entire tree, but it doesn't catch on fire to anything else in the house, even though we've already established this is a big fucking tree that touches every part of the living room. Mm-hmm. So he cuts down a tree, but the tree has a squirrel in it. Why are they so freaked out by this squirrel?
I know.
They just saw a cat die, and the squirrel runs around the house, jumps on Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and then everyone's like, all right, that's the last straw. We're leaving. Yeah. Mind you, not only has a cat just died, the scene before this, Clark found out he didn't get the bonus and does a huge rant where he goes off on his boss, swearing at him.
Mm-hmm. Heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit he is!
And the squirrel is there like, oh, Clark, you fucked up.
Yeah.
No!
Yeah.
Like, stick around. In 2 minutes, SWAT team is going to jump through this house.
All the windows crashed in, yeah.
Yeah, well, I just couldn't believe that the squirrel is what set them off so much.
I know.
It's the straw that broke the camel's back. Come on, guys.
I mean, fine. But in the midst as this is happening, Eddie goes to kidnap Clark's boss because Clark doesn't get the bonus.
He's very literal, this guy, Eddie.
Very literal.
Very last minute kidnapping, I have to say, as well.
This
felt very tacked
ad hoc
on.
kidnapping.
Yeah. I mean,
it's kidnapping in the second degree, not premeditated. Didn't think it through. It's a crime of passion.
Yeah.
Man got her. I mean, like manslaughter.
Like this is very much a tie up back to the original Vacation. Is Brian Doyle Murray the same guy who plays Wally World, dude?
Yeah, I think he's in that movie. No, it's not the same owner of Wally World.
Similar type of guy.
Yeah.
Basically, SWAT team. The first Vacation ends with a SWAT team. The Scrooge sort of goes, well, I'm not pressing charges, as that's a thing.
The recipe was made.
Yeah. Thank you for kidnapping me on Christmas fucking Eve. One of the most inconvenient nights to get kidnapped, because who's leaving out the milk and cookies for Santa? You know?
Exactly.
And then he's like, oh, thank you for kidnapping me. Whatever. I mean, at this point, I'm just like, all right, don't do a whole big thing. Just say that you've rediscovered the Christmas spirit. You're going to give him the bonus. Because this needs to end. Because this is the craziest Christmas ever. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at all the things that have happened. And it did make me wonder, JD and Rachel, as people that have celebrated Christmas your whole lives, has one singular crazy thing ever happened at Christmas to either of you?
I mean, not like this.
I don't know. It definitely wasn't on Christmas, but it was close to Christmas because there was so much snow. And I remember Christmas decorations being up, but there was a car accident outside of my house, like right at the end of the driveway. This is rural Nova Scotia, and the guy was decapitated.
I picked the wrong time to take a sip of water. Holy shit!
My dad was out there helping the police and them deal with it, but. Yeah, so that was around Christmas.
What a hilarious story.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one. I can't top that.
You can't? That's what they needed
wait,
in this movie.
what?
Not a squirrel. A squirrel is not a proper capstone. We need a full human decapitation.
That's right.
Well, so Rachel, is this movie bad?
Yes. And
I'm surprised.
I know, but again, if I watched the rest of these movies, I might go like, oh, I know all these guys. I wouldn't be like, oh, this is a terrible movie, because the familiarity makes me more forgiving, like I said in the beginning.
Yeah.
But it's still, I would not choose to watch it again.
Like, all right, obviously you did not watch the series. I assume your kids have never seen it either, then.
Oh, they did
They
this
watched
time.
it with us.
Oh, okay. And, well, what did they think, by the way?
They were not fans. Not
Oh,
fans.
well, so now there goes my theory that if I'd seen it as a teenager, I would have loved it.
Yeah.
But your kids are very sophisticated.
I think kids in general are a little more sophisticated. They have a little more to choose from. I think that's sort of why this
Yeah, but
movie...
I bet your kids love Home Alone.
Yeah, I think they do.
yeah.
They did, yeah. But Home Alone is a better movie.
Oh,
period.
God.
Yeah, no kidding.
There's so many good Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Like A Christmas Story was, 1983? Because I was like, okay, maybe it's just the 80s. No, Christmas Story was so good.
Yep.
So good.
And that's a classic. It
So
holds up.
funny.
We watch it every year. I know you're pressed for time, Matt, so I'll just say, yeah, terrible movie. Chevy Chase is the problem. This character of Clark Griswold should be right in my wheelhouse because I love an arrogant buffoon, right? Like, I love a Clouseau. I love a David Brent. I love...
A Michael Scott, which
Who?
is the same as Ricky Gervais.
But they all have, like, this sort of vulnerability that I don't think that Chevy Chase can pull off. You know, there are little glimpses of it, but the character is just kind of all over the place and way too horny. And none of these jokes landed for me. The one joke that did land, Matt, was the turkey when it implodes on itself, and it's it's the driest turkey of all time. The props department deserves an Oscar for that. Other than that,
I just saw Alien Romulus, and I was thinking it was very alien-like, right? When they cut it open, and it's like...
yeah. So, yeah.
Actually, that had my favorite line, JD, when at the dinner scene, which I did not understand. I should be saying myself, Matt, I know you're pressed for time. But I didn't understand, why was no one talking during dinner?
Because
like, this family... Because they were
choking back the dry turkey.
That's the gag. Everybody's trying to choke back the meal. And
but if that was happening, you would be talking to distract yourself and everyone else from how bad this turkey is, to not make the person that made it feel bad.
Right.
I don't think they're worried about making each other feel bad.
Don't forget that every character in this fucking movie, except for the sweet, sweet Beverly D'Angelo, is a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Like, including the kids.
Yeah.
Maybe not the kids, but yeah, they're all dicks, like all of them. And Diane Ladd, by the way, my last complaint, 8 years older than Chevy Chase. She played the mother.
Oh my God.
Like, come on.
Grandpa got lucky.
Hollywood's been like that forever. Yeah, you got a 22-year-old woman and she's playing like a 45-year-old mother. I mean, that's just pretty standard. But in the dinner scene, when Chevy says, "Oh, hey kids, I just saw on the news that a pilot saw Santa's sleigh in the sky," and Randy Quaid looks at Clark like so earnestly, he goes, "Are you being serious, Clark?" Like, he's just like, "Oh my God, wow." If I were to ask myself, is this bad? Unfortunately, I do have to say yes. Like I said, I think I missed the window for this movie, but this movie has enough decent slapstick in it that I think I would have liked it and then been brainwashed into thinking it was classic if I had just seen it at the right time. Mm-hmm. But I agree with Ebert. He said, "The movie is curious in how close it comes to delivering on its material. Sequence after sequence seems to contain all the necessary material to be well on its way towards a payoff, and then it somehow doesn't work." And that's kind of how I felt about it all of these set pieces. I was like, and then the lights, and now this, no. It sort of never really comes together. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, watch Home Alone. If you need to watch one John Hughes written movie this holiday season, make it Home Alone.
Yeah.
Or A Christmas Story, or The Grinch with Jim Carrey, or Bad Santa if you're feeling naughty.
Yes. That's JD's. That's your favorite comedy, Christmas comedy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I love
Over
that
Elf?
movie. Yeah. Elf. Elf is fine. It's got two first acts are good, but the third act there is non-existent. So
Yeah, I agree. Are you holiday heads?
Holiday heads? What's that?
The Holiday?
Oh, I love The Holiday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Haven't seen
I'm
it
just
in a while.
naming good Christmas movies you could be watching instead of this. And I think, and the best one, The Holdovers.
I haven't seen that yet. I'm looking forward to
Oh
it.
my God, baby, that's a movie.
Can't wait.
Gotta watch.
Well, that's it for us here. But why don't you tell us what you thought of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
We're gonna get some hate on this one, I think.
Yeah, I know, and I want to hear
I want to hear too.
why we're wrong, and also like when you saw it and why you love it, and do you watch it with your family, and do you get nervous every time that woman takes her top off because it's awkward.
The boners are gonna pop out. Watch out.
Watch out. Maybe you've got that copy of the DVD where you actually see her breasts for some reason.
Oh.
Left it
I
into
didn't know
your
that was a
copy.
thing.
Maybe I'd like it more if I
no,
saw
it's-
that one.
Do we know what the next movie is, Jake?
We do. It's Usual Suspects.
The Usual Suspects.
Yes.
Another classic film. How could that be bad?
Well, I had some problems with it, and I haven't I haven't seen it in years. So I'm gonna give it a go. I'm hoping that I change my mind about it, because that's the whole point of this damn show.
That's right. We got to change our minds. Unfortunately, I don't think we've changed our minds yet.
Not yet.
Maybe
We're
you could
stuck.
pretend to on this next one, just to give this feature some sauce. Check us out, patreon.com/isthisgood. And if you have topics, email us isthisgoodpod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks in advance for leaving a 5-star review. Do it for the holidays. For Rachel and JD, I'm Matt Austin, thanking you for joining the Is This Bad Movie Club. We'll see you soon. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And when Santa squeezes his fat white ass down that chimney tonight, he's gonna find the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house.